I remember hearing the call come across on the police scanner, and again, you know, a body in a vehicle, you know, probably commonplace in New Bedford or in a big city in Fall River, but places of Fairhaven, not so common. So I called my editor, and my editor said, run with it. And so I grabbed the initial photos, and then next thing you know, I think it was like months later, they were interviewing Michelle, and they had, I guess they had subpoenaed her phone records, his phone records, and they realized that it was not exactly a suicide as originally as they had thought. I don't know if the case had been closed or whatever, but they were looking at additional factors in the case, and they charged her. And I remember them charging her, and my editor saying, we're on this circus now. And off to Taunton we went, and we were part of 4 photographers, pool photographers. And the way that works is they only allow 1 photographer in the courtroom for that day. And so we'd been cycling through days, and I was the Wednesday guy, then I was the Thursday guy. And I remember specifically the judge saying, this case has gone on long enough, both families have been grieving, there's a lot at stake here. I'm not going to make my decision in haste, but I'm also not going to make them wait any longer. And I looked at my editor and I said, it's going to be a Friday verdict. And all the other journalists, they were like, oh, we want Tuesday, we want Wednesday. And I raised my hand, I said, I'll take Friday. And they all kind of looked at me, they're like, you want Friday? And my editor's like, you want Friday? I'm like, yeah, I'll take Friday. So it was explained to us, if you were going to be picked as the photographer, you would be notified no later than 2 p.m. the day before. So every day my editor would wait, you know, impatiently by the phone, 2 o'clock, no call. So that meant there was no verdict. The next day, 2 o'clock, no verdict. So then it came to Thursday, and I was working, I forget where I was working, I was doing something, and I almost didn't answer the phone. And I looked at the phone, it was like 10 past 2, and I picked up the phone, I said, hello? And she says, you know, in for $1, in for the, you know, in for the score. And she goes, let's go. And I'm like, what? She goes, we got the verdict tomorrow. So when the images happened, so it was the week before, I handed the card to my editor, and she uploaded the images to a laptop. And then we had to scurry, I think that week she used her phone as her hotspot, and she uploaded them to the AP, and then the AP used them. And to me, it didn't really mean anything. Like, my photos were being used at the Standard Time, the Boston Globe, the Sun Herald, you know, the local papers. Well, the longer the case drew out, the more worldwide attention it got. And freedom of speech versus, you know, protected speech and so on and so forth. She literally told him, you know, get back in the truck and finish the job, and that's what killed him. So it wasn't until the verdict call where we decided not to use our hotspot because it took way too long. We ran across the way to the library and stuck the card in and and got the right images, and then the AP guy was there, and he pulled me over to the laptop, and he said, you see this number? And it was counting, you know, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. And I was like, oh, was that the number of times my photo's been viewed? And he said, no, that's the number of publications that are picking it up for their either printed news edition or digital news edition. He goes, follow me. And we walked over to the library's computer, and he said, type in a website. So I typed in, you know, standardtimes.com, and up came my picture, and he says, it's breaking news. He goes, think bigger. So I went, oh, boston.com. There was my image. He goes, think bigger. So then I went usatoday.com, and he just kind of shook his head. He goes, not that rag. And he goes, think bigger. And I'm like, CNN. And there was Donald Trump going on about the wall. And I was like, oh, did I think too big? And he goes, refresh the page. And it was a simple click of F5, and there was my image. And then he said, think even bigger. And I'm like what's bigger? And he goes, go to the AP website. And there it was. It was like the photo of the day. And unbeknownst to me, my photo was one of 10 selected for photo of the week, that week of June, whatever year that was. You'd have to look it up. And it's still viewable. You can Google, you know, photo of the week and then type in the day, and then there's my photo. And I'm there with, like, you know, pictures of Nigeria and pictures of like world hunger pictures and great photographers around the world. And there's my photo right beside them.